Okay, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining in and welcome. We are so glad that you're here for today's session, Powering Marketing Teams with Workflow Automations. I am Victoria from Workflow Magic, your go-to experts for helping teams scale with clarity and confidence using Monday.com. Now, a little bit about us. At Workflow Magic, we specialize in helping businesses unlock the full potential of Monday.com. Since our founding in 2022, we've worked with thousands of organizations and achieved a 96% success rate in adoption. As a Platinum Partner, Advanced Delivery Partner, and Best Professional Service Partner in North America, we've earned the highest levels of recognition in the Monday.com ecosystem. Our team of certified consultants brings deep expertise in building scalable, automated solutions. So whether you're just starting out or looking to optimize your enterprise workflows, we don't just build boards, we build systems that grow with your team. Now, let's take a look at the team who will be presenting today. We have Aaron, Donalyn, Zane, Krista, Diego, and me speaking. And a big shout out to the rest of the team who are working behind the scenes today. Now, before we dive in, just a quick housekeeping note. This webinar is being recorded and you'll receive a link after the session so you can rewatch or share it with your team. And stick around until the end. All attendees will get a free 1-hour consultation with one of our Workflow Magic implementation consultants. So, what exactly are Monday workflows? If you've used automations or integrations before, you might be wondering, how is this different? Well, workflows are a brand new visual builder that allows you to automate entire processes, not just within one board, but across multiple boards, workspaces, and even external tools. You're no longer limited to a single environment. You can build out your entire marketing processes from start to finish. This new visual canvas gives you a clear picture of your process, making it easier than ever to map, edit, and scale. Now I will hand it over to Aaron from our team, who will talk to us about a few of the top features of workflows and how to get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. So let's take a quick look at some of those standout features that make Monday workflows a game changer and how it differentiates from automations. First one being able to connect everything seamlessly across multiple boards, even across workspaces. You can now do that with workflows. As you saw a little bit of, the visual mapping is a very user-friendly, no hidden logic, very transparent way to build out the workflow so that anyone takes a look at it, they know exactly what all the steps are. Apologies. You have templates and sharing capabilities, so being able to easily replicate and distribute best practices. And then last but not least, advanced triggers and actions, giving you the ability to build smarter flows, as well as use different conditions to build out a robust workflow. And let's go ahead and take a deeper look into all these features. Now that we've highlighted some of the standout features that Monday Workflows offers, figured it would be good to dive into a little bit of what it actually looks like, talk about some of the foundational building blocks, and call out some of those standout features, and give you an example of how you can easily use the workflow builder to set up a robust workflow span across multiple boards. So the first thing that we want to think about is, what is the trigger? What's the thing that happens to kick off the entire workflow? So once you start building out a workflow, you'll see an option for when this happens. You click into there and you'll see all your different trigger types. You have your featured triggers, and that is also broken down by type. So column related triggers, sub-item related triggers, account related or CRM sequences, when an item is moved to a board, and then item related triggers. So different variety of triggers that you can work off of. Once you set up a trigger and you set up the conditions of the trigger, you'll want to click on the plus sign to continue building out that workflow. One of the common next building blocks here would be simply doing an action. So whatever that action is based off the trigger, we have tons of available options, a lot that are similar in automations, but also some new ones. So as you scroll down, you'll see it's also grouped by featured, columns, people, communication, item, board and group, sub-item, AI powered, CRM sequences, and apps. So lots of options here. Some things to call out that are not available in automations would be the get item data. So this allows you to reference a previous building block, get that item data so that you can pull values from that item and use that to impact another item on another board potentially. There's also connect boards functionality here. More importantly, the finding a connected item or finding a matching item so that we're referencing the connect boards column on the board. You can also get sub-item data. So these are just different actions that are available now that aren't available via automations. In addition to actions, you have your if and else functionality or multi-branch conditions. So multi-branch, basically, you can split your workflow into 3 or more branches based on specific values, and depending on which branch is met first, those remaining actions will take place. And lastly, we have wait for an event or delaying, so pausing for a certain amount of time. So tons of different options to choose from when building out your workflow. Let's take a look at one that's already built out and how we're using those get item data, find connected items, if else scenarios, just to give you an idea of how this can be put into a workflow. So we have 2 boards here. We have a main campaign board and a North American campaign board. What we want to happen is when the status changes to a certain status in the main campaign board, we want to get the item data from that item in the main campaign board. Then we want to find the connected item that is connected to that item that we're referencing. So the item on the campaign board, when the status changes to strategy, we're finding the item data. We're looking at which item is connected from the North American board. If the item in the main campaign board is in active campaigns, we want it to create sub-items. If it's not in this group, it's not doing anything. So just drill down into each of these blocks so you can see here on the main campaigns board, if the phase column is strategy, we're going to get the item data from that same board, from the item ID from step 1. So when you click into here, you can see we have item ID here. I'm looking to find the connected item. So we're looking at the main campaign board, looking at step 1, item ID. We are finding the connected item that exists in the campaigns connect board column and the North American campaigns board that's connected there. Then we're going to say if the item ID from step 1 again, where that status change to strategy, if it exists in the active campaigns group, then under the yes, we want to create a sub-item in the North American campaigns board. So this is where, if we X out of this for a moment, you can see here it's referring to a previous step. So that's why it's important to use these building blocks, either get item data or find connected items, so that we can properly map the remaining actions or scenarios. So you can see here, North American campaigns board connecting to the step 3 item, doing the same thing here. So you can create as many sub-items as needed. And of course, if you want to build additional scenarios, such as waiting for an event or delaying for a certain amount of time. If the status is something, you want to notify someone, so you can really continue to build out a robust workflow really easily using this visual builder.
Yeah, so hopefully that didn't look too intimidating to you all. I promise once you get in there and you're building out your own workflows, you'll see how easy it is to set up because you're not starting from zero. Um, you think about the steps you do today. Your team follows repeatable steps every day to get their project done or their task done, their campaigns moving forward. Those are the different building blocks of the workflows. You'll be able to spot patterns and translate those into triggers and actions to build out that workflow. So there are some questions that you can think about as you're getting started. First thing is, where do you start? Where does that process start? And once you have a good understanding of where that process starts, then you ask yourself, what triggers a project or a task? So know where it starts, what is that actual trigger, find the building block. From there, figure out what happens next, and then continue to build it out with those different building blocks that you have available to you. And then before you know it, you'll have a workflow all set up and ready to go. Let's go ahead and pass it off to Krista, who will walk us through some marketing use cases in action. So take it away, Krista.
Thanks so much, Aaron. That was awesome. Yeah, so now that we've seen the workflow builder and we've gotten more familiar with the core building blocks, what we've done is we've set up 4 marketing specific workflows to review together so that you can learn how to apply this builder in action, particularly for your industry specific use case. And feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout. We'll answer them after my session here. But we'll start with our first use case. So the first use case is how to auto-assign roles using a person column. And this uses a multi-branch workflow, and it works really well for large marketing teams. It allows them to manage multiple campaigns at the item level, set a really custom team configuration based on the best skill set available, but then you can assign those stakeholders to the sub-items, which are a standardized process. So if you want to hit the next slide, Victoria, we'll see this in application. So we're in the workflow builder here. And this is where we'll see the action, which is when the sub-item is created in our content creation board. We'll then use the get item data building block, which is so important for allowing you to pull in the data and set the next trigger, which is if the status matches the role type. From there, we have 4 role types: PM, writer, designer, and editor. So that's why we've done a multi-branch condition to consolidate multiple automations into one workflow. So we'll say when the PM is the role type PM, it'll assign the PM in the campaign item level. So if we look at our board here, you're seeing upcoming, in process campaigns, you're seeing the campaign timeline, the due date, and then you're seeing a custom team that's assigned based on the PM, writer, designer, and editor. From there, we've set up a status change based on the phase that drops down a custom set of sub-item templates. So if we drop down here within this campaign, within the upcoming phase, you'll see that these are the tasks the PM is responsible for. So once we trigger that phase, it automatically assigns the PM in the parent level item to the sub-item without having to do any manual steps, which is such a time saver. It also allows you to do that for each stage in the process. So let's test it out here. We'll fill out the new campaign webinar. We'll call it new campaign webinar workflows. Then we'll go ahead and set up the due date as if you were assigning the campaign out to the team. We'll choose the timeline, and then we'll assign our custom team. So we'll set Workflowmatic as the PM, we'll assign the writer, the designer, and finally we'll wrap up with assigning Aaron as the editor. So once we've assigned our custom team, we'll move the phase to upcoming. As we mentioned, that drops down those custom sub-items and it uses that workflow. So it triggers the multi-branch condition and it assigns our PM to the role type PM. The next piece is to set it to in process, and you'll continue to see how we can define this down because it'll take the writer and it'll assign the person that you've assigned there. I believe it's Victoria. And then we've got our designer who will automatically assign to the designer tasks. And then Erin as the editor who will automatically assign there. So you'll see we've set up a standard task template, but we can customize who's assigned automatically from the team that's assigned at the item level. So this is a huge win as far as removing manual steps and setting up that multi-branch condition. So we'll move to our next use case here. So we'll do next slide. Awesome. Okay. So you saw in our last example, we set up dynamic sub items based on a status change, right? And that's a really great use case for our marketing team. So for this use case, we're going to show you how to generate dynamic sub items based on deliverables, but we're going to change it to the request type. So we're going to show you how you can set up automatic sub item tasks that are specific to a content, a video, a copy request. And we're going to show you the same multi-branch condition because it allows you to set multiple status labels and different triggers from there. But this time around, we're going to show you the process first, and then we'll go ahead and set up the workflow together so you can get familiar with the workflow builder and the building blocks as you apply them. Next slide, please. So oftentimes a creative request starts with the form intake. So here we're going to head to the form where the requester would provide the criteria for your request type. They would fill out the subject of the request, something about the social and copy request that they need, the person that's submitting it. They'll choose the client, so we'll choose craft, and we'll go ahead and choose copy for this request. We'll select the completion date, and we'll fill out all of the information that's context to the copy request for the team to support on. In this use case, it's the drop-down column here, that request type that drives the custom sub-items that for each, copy, content, video request. So we'll keep filling this out, and we'll even add our email so that the team can reach out to us if they have any questions. We'll go ahead and hit submit here, and we'll head back to our main table where the copy request jumped in. You'll see the workflow runs, and because it's request type copy, it drops down the exact tasks that are needed for someone to complete a copy request, like assigning the copy editor. And then for the content piece, it has its own set of custom tasks like media strategy and things like that. So let's set this up. We'll go to workflow. We'll name our workflow. We'll call it, generate sub items based on content type. From there, you'll hit create, and it'll take you to the UI where you create your workflows. It'll start with the action, which is when item is created from the form intake, which we just saw, and it's in the creative request board. We'll then set up our action. In this case, we want to set a condition that's multi-branch because it's when the column request type here matches video creative content. So in this case, we can set multiple conditions, and once the request type is met, it follows that branch to complete your tasks. So we'll go ahead and showcase how you can set even two statuses for the same set of tasks. For video, we'll choose create sub item, and we'll create and label that task, determine production schedule. And then we'll keep adding the sub items via the action, create sub item, and we'll name the next task here, and it'll be, draft, video, script. So each content type has a unique set of sub item tasks, and this is how you create them and add to it until you move next to the content type creative. You'll do an action and add your next set of sub items until you hit activate workflow. So the activate workflow turns this workflow live. And then since we've already completed this in the demo, I'll quickly show you the completed workflow so you can get an idea of what that would look like. in total. So it's when item is created in creative request board. You've got your multi-branch conditions. So when it is the video request, it assigns the production team versus the content request where you host the kickoff call with client, create the client style guide, and review the content calendar, so on and so forth. So you can get just as specific as you want. And then if we zoom out here, you'll see the multi-branch condition that we've set up together. Awesome. So hopefully you're starting to see how you can set up multi-branch conditions. But the next one, we want to show you how to edit data across multiple columns. So what we're going to show you is how to convert date columns to timelines automatically. And this is a really great use case. We all know how important tracking deadlines and timelines are for marketing teams. So what it allows you to do is auto update start date to a timeline column automatically. And in this use case, it actually shows you a really great way to leverage both automations and workflows together to really put your whole process on autopilot. And it shows you how those features can complement each other as you're making the most of your workflow. So we'll go ahead and hit the next slide, and then I'll demo this. So we'll head to our creative request board that we were just working on, and you'll see that we've added a few date columns here. So we've added the started date, the completed date, and we've added the actual timeline. What we've done then is added automations as well. So we've added one automation for when the status changes to approved, set the started date to today. And then we've set another automation for, and you can see this in live right here, set it to approved, started date to today. And then when we move it to completed, it sets the completed date to today. And then what it does is it triggers that workflow, and it automatically assigns the started date to the start date on your actual timeline and the completed date to the end date. So this can really help you as you're doing Gantt charts as well, because you can start to see, are we trending against what we've actually planned for? And what are those bottlenecks here? So if we move something to completed again, you'll see it automatically updates your actual timeline. So let's jump into the workflow builder. The way we've set it up is we've set the action to when the started date column changes in the creative request board. We're going to get that item data. That's the building block that Aaron mentioned that's so important for gathering data based on the action. And then we're going to map it into the actual timeline column. So we're able to say, grab the item data and map the started date to the start date on the timeline and the completed date to the end date on the timeline. But we need to do this for both column changes. So if you're following along here, we'll just go ahead and set up the exact same workflow, but we'll do it when the completed date changes. So that allows us to set up triggers to update the timeline, no matter which column is updated. And there you have it. So hopefully that's, a really great example to show you how you can update dates and put everything on autopilot for those campaigns and creative requests you're managing. Our final use case here is for matching items across boards to showcase unified data and one source of truth. This is really great if you have a data repository board, like a client database, and then you have data coming in with matching items. You can automatically sync data without having to set up connect boards. And it's a really great way to keep everything accurate and one source of truth. So we'll go ahead and hit next slide, and we'll showcase this live. So the workflow builder here, we're going to set up when item is created in a campaign. So someone's going to go ahead and submit a campaign request. We're going to get the data from the campaign request that's submitted, and we're going to set up a matching column. So for campaigns that are submitted, we need to know which clients they're going to. And then we have a client database with all the client data. So we're going to say, when the item is created, get the item data, and then find the matching item. So it'll be the client name in the campaign board, and when it matches the client name in the client database board. The system will know when it finds the matching item. So when craft is craft, find that item. And then step 4 will allow you to get the item data that's in the database board. From there, you can map anything that lives in the database board into your columns in the campaign board. So something that this team cares about is the account owner. That's something that lives in their client database, as well as the fiscal year. That's something they update and they really need to know to better understand spend for campaigns. So if we look at the client database, once we activate our workflow here, you'll see the columns that you're mapping into the campaign board once the form is submitted. So you'll see the client name, the account owner, and then you'll see the fiscal year as well. So that can stay as your source of truth for all clients, because what happens is when item creates, it'll update that data. So we'll go ahead and fill out the campaign to show you this. It'll be Coca-Cola campaign. The channel will be Instagram. We'll fill out the client name. Remember, this is our matching column. Then we'll go ahead, put in more context for our campaign team. We'll fill out the campaign start date, end date. And then remember, we'll add that budget spend so we can track that against the fiscal year. We'll hit submit. The data will drop in. It'll match the client name with our database board. And then you'll see right now, it just automatically added our account owner and the fiscal year. So you can do this for any column data that lives in the database board, but those are just 2 as an example. Just a reminder, this is contingent on those 2 matching columns, and it can really save your team a ton of time, as they no longer have to update data across different boards and can use the workflow builder to do that. All right. Now that we've walked through our different examples, I'm going to pass it over to Zane and we can answer all of your questions.
Thank you, Krista. All right, let's jump into your questions. Feel free to drop them in the QA sections.
Hey Zane, we're getting some questions in. First up is, who can use this feature?
Only enterprise accounts for now.
Okay, great. And is there any limitation to workflows in terms of the number of automations?
You can add as many blocks as you lock inside a single workflow. The canvas itself has no fixed cap. What is limited is the monthly automation actions. So every time a block runs, it consumes 1 action. And enterprise accounts receive 250,000 automation actions per month, I think.
Okay, great. Can workflows be combined with any integrations?
Yes, right now you can include blocks of, I think, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, Gmail, Slack, and also the newly added Supermail integration within the same workflow.
Awesome. And can AI be used in workflows?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the full set of AI features available in Monday Automations is also available in workflows.
Great. And how are workflows different from traditional automations?
Because a single workflow can touch many boards and external apps, you can map an end-to-end process in one build instead of chaining separate board automations and integrations together. Also, classic automation is good for quick and one board rules, but workflows are designed for complex and cross-team logic.
Okay, and is it hard to maintain workflows once they're built?
So one click to pause, edit, or duplicate. So you can open the Workflow Center, hit pause, stop runs instantly, or edit or tweak any block, and then activate it again. The other one is that you have the run history and failure logs. And also, yeah, that's it. Is there any other questions?
No, just seeing in the chat, people are wondering if the recording will be made available to those attending.
There's also a question in the Q&A. It says, can you do math with get data values?
I think we can.
Yeah, the what would happen here is if you have a building block, like you want to increase or decrease a number value, you can get item data from another board and use that numeric value as what you're decreasing or increasing another item's number column by. So rather than putting a static number of what you're increasing or decreasing, you can use the value of another item. So currently you can do that with an automation in a singular board, but what this allows you to do is reference values outside of a board to then increase or decrease a value on another board.
You can also do, I've done it for a workflow, is to go step by step and getting the result, the previous result to, multiply or add so that you can do a little bit more complex math and also use the conditions within the workflow to get the value that you want.
Perfect. Is there any other questions? Awesome. Now I'm gonna hand it over to Diego, one of our implementation managers.
Hey, thank you, Zane. Well, guys, Diego here. Thank you all for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you all on this workflows webinar. And yeah, of course, remember that they can offer us a lot of enhancement opportunities, specifically for creative and marketing teams. But of course, any other workflows that you have in mind can also be created. So it's a great opportunity to learn those workflows to enhance your processes. Other than that, as a friendly reminder, we're going to be sending you the recording to your inbox, so keep an eye out. And also, as you can see right here on your screen, you will also get a free 1 hour consultation session with one of us. So yeah, if you're ready to get started with us and start your journey from chaos to clarity, make sure to book your free consultation session by using this QR code that we have right here on the screen, and we will be here to help you. All right. So again, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a really nice rest of your day.